Hi guys, Johnny V here from JV Design. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. Hopefully there's some tips that we can give you. And if you've seen some of my stuff before, guys, welcome back. Hopefully we can give you a really good paint up to have a look at today. Now, this is a really exciting one for me. If you've seen some of my work before, you'll know I'm a massive J.Scott Campbell fan, and this is still part of my J.Scott Campbell series where I'll probably still got a couple more in that series before I move on to something else. But this is the very excellent Abbey Chase from the amazing Danger Girl comic from the 90s. So when I got a chance to paint this one up, I was really excited. This is a beautiful cast done 3D printed by Quez. So when I saw this, I just had to give it the JV treatment. Now on this one here, I have changed the base a little bit. The round rock base was on there, but it had some flames around it. I've just changed those out for some foliage and some grass and sort of greenery. When we see Abbey in the comics originally, she's very much going around the jungle quite a bit. So I wanted to make that, you know, really sort of fit the character. So over in Australia we've got Spotlight stores, which are very much a textile store. So I just went in there and bought a fake plant and I actually added that in, and I'm going to show some of that process. I've also put the little gold skull, which was in the early comics as well, and that's the gold skull of Cuckoo Diego, I believe it's called, and it's a gold skull with a little gem in the left eye as well. So I've tried to put that on there. Now I have actually got a better skull cast on the way, and I will replace that. When I do that, I'll probably put that up on my Instagram page and just show that. But for the time being, that one's just fine. But we're going to go now and have a look at how we painted Abbey Chase, have a look at all the little highlights, all the little tricks that we did. Hopefully you'll get something out of it. Today's t-shirt is the very excellent prog band Dream Theater. If you haven't heard them before, guys, go do yourself a favour. They'll be an absolute ear extravaganza for you. So until then, guys, listen to some Dream Theater. Come with me. We're going to have a look at how we painted Abbey Chase 1/6 scale from Quez. Okay, champions, if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll see that I like to get through this section pretty quick, and this is just all the pieces are ready to go. They've all been primed, and I'm using my same Army Painter matte white coloured primer, which I find really good. I really like the consistency with that. If we can have a look at the face, we can see that we're getting some really nice detail on that, and the primer really works well for me. It's something that I really like. It also is a nice light base coat because I like to do my light to mid-tones underneath, work my shadows and highlights and go from there. Now, this is a really good one. I haven't had to do much filling, a little bit of sanding obviously, but not much filling on this one because all the parts seem to slot together really well. So this is a really well put together model. If you do have any questions though, please put them in the comment section and I'm always happy to help. But for now, guys, we're going to move on, have a look at our skin tones, and we will see you soon. So we've now gone back and forth with all the different shades and put in all our shadows and highlights, and we're left here. So the first thing to look at is the colours that we used. Our light flesh and pale flesh from Vallejo. We then used the pale flesh from Green Stuff World, which is different again, a few more browns, not quite as pink. Cobalt Skin, which has some really good yellows and browns within it and just tones it back a little bit, and some sand for our darker highlights. Now, these are the exact same colours that I used for Mary Jane, a little bit different when I did my Black Cat, but Mary Jane had basically these same colours. What I always do though is fog it back, and I use this elf flesh again, and this is a really great one to fog it back, and then there might be areas that I need to go over again and make them a little bit darker. So there's a lot of back and forth, but it's pretty straightforward. Now, while these were the same colours I used as Mary Jane, it can still look a little bit different because some of the colours are darker and some of the highlights are done in different ways or in different places. So if we come back, we can actually see Abbey has quite dark around here, a little bit of a highlight on the cheek there, and also quite a few highlights on these cheeks, okay? Also darker fading off into the light on the forehead, and that's exactly what the image was looking like. She's actually going to be facing down, so it actually should be darker over on this side of her face. So that's what we've tried to aim for, and she's looking really, really good. So really happy with that. We've also, having a look at the body, been able to get some nice darker highlights on the hip, which is in there, and it's a little bit lighter through the actual stomach itself and darker on those arms as we come along. These things are always going to be more evident as well when I've got a really nice bright white and grey on the top. The belt's done and all the little highlights are done as well. But looking really, really sharp at the moment. I'm really happy with that. There might be a couple of areas that I may need to touch up. I've also given it a coat with my acrylic matte varnish from Vallejo as well, and that just seals it down because I'm going to be doing quite a bit of handling. But we're going to have a look now, move on to our next section, probably try to go for the hair, the top, and then we're also going to paint in the eyes and start to piece all the face together. So we'll see you in the next section very shortly, my friends.
So we've got our eyeballs painted in at the moment. We've gone for that really nice kind of hazel green, a little bit different to MJ's. I'm going to put a little bit of lighter tone down the bottom. Then I'm going to put the pupils, little specular highlights, paint the eyebrows, the lips. But so far everything's good. They're all lined up where I want them to. They're looking nice and neat, looking very even. I want her looking off to the side. That's the pose she's in. And we'll move on to the next bit. So we'll have a look when we have finished the eyes.
And with all the back and forth and now sticking the hair on, this is the result, guys. So I'm really happy with her. The one thing was really to get the colour tone right in the hair, and Abby's got, she's definitely got blonde hair, but within a lot of the images, it's got a lot of browns in it, and I had to make sure that it still looked blonde, but had those really nice brown highlights, and really, really happy with that. Really happy with the way that came out. Really try to get those nice green irises as well, which are a little bit more of a hazel green, a little bit different to MJ, which were more of a real green pop. And if you can see, she's got that little beauty spot on there. It was really big. Cindy Crawford had those, a lot of the supermodels, and that was a really big thing. You can only just see it under her hair, but it was really important for me to get a lot of the colour tones and colour schemes right for her, because as a big fan of Campbell, Abbey was in one of my favourite comics, and I really wanted to make sure I'd do it justice. So really happy with the way her face is coming out. I have tried her atop of the body, and everything sort of sits really, really well. So once I finish painting all those things, it will come together really well. And I will have a look, if I need to put a few extra highlights, a few extra dry brushes through the hair, I'll do that once maybe the head's atop, and that way I can gauge it all together and see what the scheme looks like. But really, really happy with how Abby's come out. You can see she's got some of those blonde streaks and darker streaks underneath. And wrapped with that. So we're now going to move on to the next section, guys, and from there we'll see what we can do. Stay with me, we'll see you soon. Right, so with all the going back and forth, this is where we're currently at. We've had a look just at the process, and this is where we sit with the green. Now, it'll definitely come together a little bit more once we've got the blue in place, but I've put all the highlights and shadows in the right places, so I've got those looking really, really nice. and like I said, it will come together once I've put the dark blue in the middle. If I find that I have to soften anything back even within the green, once that's all together, then I'll blend that together and make sure that it really looks like one piece and all the lights are shining off in the right ways. But really happy with that. Really simply, the three major colours I only used three, was this Mecca colour, and this is actually a fluoro green. I popped a little bit of white with that as well to soften it back, make it not pop quite as much for a good base coat. Then I started building my coats mainly with this Army Painter Savage Green, and then I used the Citadel Orc Flesh, and I put a lot of my highlights in, nice little contrast paint, and then I went back and forth and softened some areas back. So that's where we sit. We're going to put the blue on and see where we go. So we're starting to piece Abbey together, and probably the most important thing on here is just to highlight a few of the details. So we can see we've done the gun here, and we've put some really nice silver and some shades of gunmetal in there, as well as the gloves. Now, I don't know how well this picks it up, but I've put some really light hints of brown in there, and that just gives it that sort of leathery kind of look. So some really soft hints of that. I went over it with the detail airbrush, and then did a little bit of dry brushing on that as well. The belt actually has a satin finish, which this doesn't seem to pick up so well, and you can also see the belt buckle in there as well, which is pretty iconic when we're talking about Abbey Chase. So that's the upper body there. And when we come to the legs, which I actually have upside down here, we can see the highlights in the green and the blue, which I'm really liking. But I tried to do, with the little stirrup and the gun pouch, I tried to do the same, giving it that little brown leather look. So a little bit of dry brushing and airbrushing on there. The boots do actually have a little shade of a grey blue in there just to highlight them, but I was very subtle with it, and then I gave them a really nice coat of gloss because they're supposed to be a glossy leather finish. So just a few little details there. I'm going to piece it all together, and then we're going to start on the base, have a little bit of fun with that. Once again, I'm changing the base up a little bit, but there's some good little fun things in there, so we'll get to that next and we'll see how we go. So we'll see you soon.
So for the undercolours of the base, I've, instead of just going jet black, I've actually gone with some shades of grey and then set that up for the dry brushing, starting with my darker colours first and then scaling it back to my lighter colours.
Okay, so what I've done is I've dry brushed a couple of different colours, a couple of different shades of grey, and then what I've actually then done is go back over with the airbrush a little bit, put a few little browns, put a few more highlights of darker greys in as well. It's actually not quite as light as it looks on the camera. I'm just getting some really good lighting off here, and I used some very stony colours to try to make it look like stone. So really happy with the way that's coming around. It was pretty important. I find that when you first dry brush, it can actually look very sharp. So I try to then dry brush and then soften it back with the airbrush. And then from there, I then go and dry brush from very softly over the top of that again to bring out some of the areas that I want. But so far looking really good. I'm now going to go stick on some plants and some greens in the background that I found. I'm actually changing. There was some fire shapes that went in the background. They weren't something that I thought really added to the piece, so I think I'm going to go with some greenery in there, which really tends to look like Abbey from the comics. So see how we go with that, and we'll have a little bit of fun. Okay, so we've started adding a little bit of greenery, a little bit of foliage through here, and if you can see at the base, I've actually inserted a little bit of milliput, and that's how I've stuck them in and got them, once it's really set nice and hard, they're staying in place. And then I've just airbrushed a little bit of brown over there, touch of dry brush to really make it fit in and feel really at one with the piece. And when we scan back, very happy with that. So it's got that stone and it's got that nice foliage coming through. Now, it actually had some fire pieces that went in this place. I didn't feel they added a lot to the piece, so I wanted to go very green, particularly in Danger Girl issue 0 and the start of issue 1. She was out hunting around very much in the jungle, and I wanted to make it very reminiscent of that. I'm also going to add in those particular areas of those comics, she was actually after the golden skull. I believe it was called Cuckoo Diego. Hopefully I got that right. And I'm actually going to put that in as well. So I've ordered a little resin skull from eBay, just a random little resin skull, which should be the right scale. I'm going to paint that gold, put the highlight in there of some fluoro pink on the left eye, and go from there as well. Now, if you're wondering how I got the foliage, all I actually did was over at Spotlight, I got this little plastic plant. I took all the little chilies or whatever they're supposed to be off there, used some of the areas, and I actually thought that worked really well and was kind of the right size and sort of leafy that I needed. So got that for about $12, I think it was, at Spotlight. So yeah, so that's how it's all coming together. I'll wait for the sort of finished piece to see how she fits on there, and I'm also going to put a little nameplate and things like that. But that's what we're looking for with the base. It's been a lot of fun doing this one here. We're going to start piecing it together, and Abby's just about done, so we'll see you soon. Guys, if you've hung around to the end, thank you so much for staying with me, and hopefully you got something out of how we painted Abbey Chase. If there were some things that you really enjoyed, please click that like and subscribe button. I just do this for fun, but the more people I can reach, the more people I can give tips to, and we can put some more things out there for the community. Now, my next video will also be on another J.Scott Campbell character. I won't give too much away just yet, but hopefully we can look forward to seeing that one soon. Until then though, guys, always be good, be safe, be good to your families, and we'll see you soon. Take care.